Welcome back to Arise Prime Time. I'm Charles Anyegolu, and this is the point in the show that I introduce our guest analyst, who is here to give his perspective on nearly everything we've covered in the past 45 minutes or so on the program. And today I'm joined here in the studio by the journalist, policy strategist, and Arise news analyst, Waziri Adio. Great to see you, Waziri. And you have been listening avidly from the beginning of the program. You heard Professor Tomori, Jennifer Dent, and now, of course, the National Publicity Secretary of the SDP. What do you make of what the politicians are doing with healthcare? I mean, we're not really hearing anything. I suppose you could say it's early days yet because we're waiting for some of their manifestos and so on. But this ought to be a top priority.
Definitely, it has to be, because this is something that touches the people directly, and also has implication for so many things. Like Professor Tomori and others mentioned, health has many multiplier effects. It has implication for people's productivity. It has implication for the growth of the country, for the economy, for human development. For how long they live, for how productive they can be, for the quality of life they can live, and all of that. So it's something that is really central, not just to human welfare, but also to national development. But will the politicians talk about it? I'm not too sure. And that's why I align with what Professor Tomori said, which is that they won't talk about it. It's our responsibility to make them to talk about it.
That's a very good point.
This is something that is very important. And it's not just to tell us that we're going to fix healthcare or we're going to make healthcare more affordable, more accessible, and all of those things that they will say. But tell us how you're going to do that.
How you're going to do it and how you're going to fund it.
How you're going to fund it. It's very easy to say, we curb corruption, we prioritize it, and all of those things that they say. What is the plan? How much are you spending? How much are we spending on health now? Unfortunately, we're putting about 3% of our GDP. In most advanced countries, on the average, like 10% of GDP, right? And you can see how that impacts so many things in terms of all the mortality, whether it's maternal mortality, infant mortality, under 5 mortality, even the what's it called? The longevity. The life expectancy. Life expectancy in Nigeria is 55 years.
Yeah.
In Ghana is 64 years. In a country like the US is 78 years. In Norway, Sweden, and all of those places, 84 years. So definitely this is something that is very important, and we need to get our politicians to go beyond all this stuff about it's my turn, it's your turn, it's the turn of this section, it's the turn of that section, it's this religion, it's that religion. Let's talk about things that really matter to the people.
The important issues.
Yes, and let them tell us what they are going to do. So if you are spending 3% of your GDP on health and it's grossly inadequate, so what percentage are you looking at?
Absolutely.
And where are you going to shift the money, right? And, it's very easy to say, we just put more money there. We know that the country is in a very tough place, So, and there are certain provisions that are already there. For example, there's the basic health provision fund that says 1% of the consolidated revenue fund should go to primary health care. Is that happening? And even if you put the money there, are you getting what you should get? It's a shame that as a country, that our leaders, over time, when they are sick, they have to go outside of this country.
Well,
so if they cannot take care of themselves, right? If they cannot have a place where they can go to when they are indisposed, what will happen to the ordinary people?
Well, that's a point I was going to bring up, because let's take President Buhari, for example. Although, because he was sick, we kind of noticed that. But I mean, it's something that has run through a lot of Nigerian leaders. I mean, both on the governorship level and sort of National Assembly and beyond. I mean, President Buhari flies abroad for medical treatment. What do you think stops him from upgrading the clinic at Aso Rock or the General Hospital in Abuja so he doesn't have to travel abroad for medical treatment? I mean, what is it that prevents him from doing that?
Yeah, I'll answer this by not focusing on just President Buhari himself.
Yeah, but he's an example.
Yes, I mean, because if you also go back to Yar'Adua, you know, Yar'Adua was sick, he had to be taken to Germany. Then
well, that's why I said that it runs through.
Yes, you know, so the point I'm trying to make is that you have an elite that doesn't even, that cannot, you know, take care of itself.
No, but you're right? Speaking in broad terms.
Yes, yes.
I'm being specific, not in an accusatory manner, but in a manner that I want to find out. I mean, what is your sense of why someone like the president, who has a clinic, there's Aso Rock Clinic, I mean, there are hospitals in Abuja, what is it that stops them from saying that we are going to, you know, we're going to upgrade the medical facilities that we have in this country? I mean, why don't they do it? I don't understand.
Yeah, I don't understand either. But what I'm saying is that I see a crop of leaders that does not even know how to take care of his own enlightened self-interest. Because even if you're going to have a reference hospital that you're going to use for patronage, you should have it. You know, it's something we should be ashamed of.
Absolutely.
That you are going outside of the country.
I agree 100%.
It's something that has not just, you know, that has implication not just for your pride, for your national pride. It's something that has implication for your national security.
Absolutely.
When people are in a medical condition, you don't know the kind of things they can do to them, the kind of secret they can extract from them. You know, that have implication, you know, for the security of the country. You know, so it's something that they should prioritize, they should do, but it's not just about taking care of themselves, because it's not everybody that can, even when you have, you know, such a state-of-the-art, you know, hospital, it's not everybody that can go to the ASO clinic.
No,
it's not everybody that can go to. So it's something that it's not everybody that can travel abroad. We need to find a way to make sure that people can access healthcare in this country, no matter their station in life.
Absolutely.
You know, whether they are president, whether they are politicians, whether they are just ordinary people. You know, Nigerians, every month, 9,000 people travel abroad for medical tourism. But ridiculous. You know, and you know, that's just in 1 month. But what is 9,000 out of a population of 200 million? So there are many Nigerians that cannot afford this, and we have a responsibility to make sure that, you know, the country works for them, especially in an area that also has implication not just for their own welfare, which is very important, but also for national productivity and growth. If people are not healthy, they cannot be productive. If they are not productive, the economy cannot grow.
Absolutely.
Right? You know, so it's something we need to really fix, and we need to get the politicians to sit down to say, see, this is very important. You can talk about all the other things that you want to talk about, but it's very important for you to talk about this and tell us what you want to do differently, and how you are going to do it. Well, not just the usual rhetorics and poetry and all of those things.
I think we would need to study their manifestos very closely and what they're planning to do about it. Yeah. And talking about that, you and I were just discussing this before we came on air. I mean, this is a desperately long campaign period, isn't it? I don't know how people are going to be able to. I mean, it works all ways, doesn't it? I mean, the politicians themselves, whether they can sustain it for this length of time, and the people themselves, whether they're going to get all bored with it before, you know, you get to the election season.
I have to cross-check, but I think this is the longest distance or space you have between not just conclusion of primaries, but between the conclusion of primaries and the commencement of campaigns, which is a joke, really. Because you say, okay, you concluded the primaries in May, in June, and the campaigns will not start until September or till late September. So what do you want people to do? Right? So people were actually campaigning by other means.
Absolutely.
You know, then you still also have, between the start of the campaign and the commencement of the election, 5 months. That's an awful long period of time. It takes a lot of time, it takes a lot of effort to run campaigns. So what will happen eventually is you are advantaging, might be unintended consequence, you are advantaging those who have deep pockets. You know, those who have the structure, who have the stamina, you know. So it's not something that I think we need to look at. I think the reason why they did that was that INEC needed to have more time to be able to do all these things properly. But what is INEC's gain is the loss
of, particularly the smaller parties.
Yes, for the larger society, it's going to take. Look at it also this way: if you are going to spend 5 to 9 months to campaign, governance is going to suffer. The governors, the president, and others, whether they are running or not, they have a stake in campaigning.
That's a good point.
And the time that they're spending on that is the time they're not spending on their mandate.
Yes.
On what is remaining on that. So it's something that, yes, we need to have enough time for INEC, but I'm not convinced that we couldn't have done I'm convinced that we could have done the primaries in, let's say, September, and we could have started the campaigns in November. And the time will still be enough for INEC to do what it wants to do, right? And for the parties and the politicians to run their campaigns.
Unfortunately, we're stuck with it now because I believe it's written in stone. So
yes,
we'll
but we do the review all the time. So when we try this and we see how it goes, I have friends who are politicians, and they tell me, where will you find the money? So what you are likely to find is that what's likely to happen is that this campaign, the real campaign, will not start until November or December.
Yeah, that's a point that some of the parties have actually made, that they will batten down the hatches and do it later on. But Waziri, it's always good to talk with you. Waziri Adio is a journalist, policy strategist, and Arise News analyst. That's it for this edition of Arise Prime Time. Join us again next week. From me and the entire team here in Abuja, Lagos, and Ibadan, goodbye, and thank you for watching.